In Chapter 7, we are going to study polynomials. So for the first section, we're mostly going to be focusing on the vocabulary of polynomials. And so you can hear me say polynomial a bunch of times till you get used to saying it. Okay, so the first kind of polynomial is a monomial. A monomial is a number, a variable, or a product of numbers and variables with whole number exponents. So for example, it could be a number, like 5. It could be a variable like x. It could be a product of numbers and variables, so maybe 7x squared y, as long as they have whole number exponents. Okay, so all of these are examples of monomials. Things that are not monomials. If I do the square root of x, that's not a monomial. If I divide by an exponent, that's not a monomial. And it has to have positive exponents or whole number exponents. So this is also not a monomial. I also can't have fractions on my exponent. So as long as it's whole number exponents, it could be a constant or a variable. So that's what I'm talking about when I say monomial. I mean any of these type of things. Okay, so the degree of a monomial is the sum of the exponents of the variables, and only the variables. Okay, so for each of these, on your paper, just next to it, write degree. Sometimes I abbreviate degree with DEG. Okay, so I only care about the exponents of the variables. So if I look at A, it's 5x to the 7. If I look at the exponent on the variable, the exponent is a 2, so the degree of this monomial is 2. Okay, so for B, it's negative 7x to the second y to the third. I want to look at the exponents on the variables. The x has a 2 and the y has a 3. Because there's more than one variable, I want to find the sum of the variables, which means add them. So 2 plus 3 means the degree of this monomial is 5, because that's the number of exponents that are being, or the number of variables being multiplied in this monomial. Okay, for C, it's 11x. Let's see, I see the variable is x. The exponent on it is a 1, so the degree is 1. Okay, for D, it's xy to the 7th. Okay, I only care about the variable, so I see an x with the variable 1 and the y with the variable 7. If I find the sum, I add them, so 1 plus 7 is 8. Okay, for E, the only variable I see is n. The exponent on the n is 1, so this is a degree 1 monomial. And for F, there is no variable at all. 45 has no letter on it, no variable, so the degree is 0, meaning there are 0 variables in that monomial. Okay, so polynomials can be monomials, or they can be a sum of monomials. And each of them has, and some of them have special names. So if it's a monomial, okay, so mono actually means one. So this means one term. So if I write 7x to the third, that's a monomial because there's one term. And it's also called a polynomial, but because there's one term, we give it the special name of monomial. A binomial, if you think of bi, like a bicycle has 2 wheels, a binomial has 2 terms, which means there are 2 monomials added together. So maybe 7x to the third minus 5x to the second. This is a binomial because there's 2 terms being added or subtracted. The next special name for a polynomial is a trinomial. Tricycle has 3 wheels, a triangle has 3 sides, a trinomial has 3 terms. So maybe I have 7x to the third minus 5x to the second, and let me add one more thing, 4. So now I have 1, 2, 3 terms, so we can call that a trinomial. Now technically, poly means many, or 1, it could be 1. So this is a polynomial, this is a polynomial, this is a polynomial, but a polynomial could have as many terms as I would like it to have. So I could make it have even more terms. And it's also a polynomial. Polynomial is the term that covers all of these nomials. It's a general term. Okay, now what if I want the degree of a polynomial? Because it has so many terms, I take the highest degree of any one of the terms, rather than the sum of each of them. So I look at each individual one and I see which one is highest. The next word is called standard form. Standard form is going to be very important because this is normally how we write a polynomial. And polynomials in standard form are when the terms are written in order from highest degree, and when I say degree, I mean exponent, to lowest degree, which means exponent. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and look at this first polynomial here. It says 7x plus x to the third. There's two things being added, and they're in a random order, so I can put them in any order I want. So I'm going to look at their exponents first to put it in standard form. So this is x to the third. This is x to the 1. For it to be in standard form, I put the highest exponent term first, which means the x to the third goes first. And since this is a positive 7x, I'm going to put that next because it has a lower exponent. Okay, now the degree of the polynomial is the highest exponent on any one term. So this has an exponent of 3. This has an exponent of 1. The highest of any one term is 3, so this is a degree 3 polynomial. Degree means exponent. Okay, the polynomial type is asking how many terms are in this polynomial. Does it have a special name? So I'm adding x to the third plus 7x. So I'm adding two terms together. Because I'm adding two terms together, the special word for two terms is binomial, because bi means two. And that's counting how many terms. The degree is looking at the highest exponent, and standard form is going from highest exponent to lowest. Okay, I'm going to go to the next example, B. It says 3 plus 5x squared minus 7x. Okay, I want to look at each individual term, and I want to compare their exponents. Okay, so this 3, that has no exponent, so that's 0. This term has a 2 exponent. This term has a 1 on its variable. So the highest exponent I see is 2. So I'm going to put the 5x to the second first. The next highest exponent is the 1, so I put minus 7x. And then the 3 didn't even have a variable, so that goes last. And if I look at this, it's going highest exponent 2, 1, 0 to lowest exponent. Okay, degree, remember degree is exponent, so highest exponent. Okay, well the highest one was the first one. In standard form, it'll always be the first one. So since the highest exponent is 2, I put a 2. And I look and see how many terms there were. There's 1, 2, 3 terms being added or subtracted. The abbreviation for 3 is tri, the prefix. So this is a trinomial. Okay, now the last one, C is negative 5z to the 7th. I mean, there's only one term, so it has an exponent of 7, but there's nothing else, so it's going to have to go first and last. It's the only thing there. Okay, for the degree, I'm looking for the highest exponent. Well, the only exponent is 7, which makes it also the highest. Okay, and then I only have, let me see, I have only one term here. The abbreviation for 1 is mono. So this is a monomial. That's the special name for it in terms of the polynomial type. Okay, I'm going to do one more example involving evaluating polynomials. You do not need to copy this. Do not copy. Because it's a lot of words, we'll practice it in class to make sure you get used to it, and we're just going to plug in. Okay, but they're going to add extra words to it, so I just don't want you to get freaked out by the words. I want you to understand that all we're doing is evaluating the function. Okay, so this says the area of a rectangle is given by a equals x squared plus 8x, where x represents the length of the side. Okay, for the first question, if the length of one side is 3, so the length of the side is 3, so they're telling me x equals 3. Find the area. Well, area is going to be the a. Okay, so if I look at that original equation, I'm going to rewrite it just so you can see it. They want me to find a, and they tell me that x is 3. So I'm going to make this 3 squared plus 8 times 3. I'm just plugging it in like we did on function notation. And then because it says to find the area, that means solve it. 3 squared is 3 times 3, so 3 times 3 is 9, plus 24. So the area is 33. It should be square centimeters, but I'm going to have your geometry teacher worry about your units with you. And then I'm done. It said find the area. I found the area. It just had a bunch of words while it was describing what to do. Okay, so for the follow-up for this, it says if the length of one of the sides of the rectangle is 10 feet, find the area. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing, except this time I'm going to say that x is, what's the length of this side? Here it is, 10 feet. So I'm going to make x equals 10. But I'm going to use the same equation to find a. So what was it? X squared plus 8x. Okay, what is 10? 10 to the second is 10 times 10, which is 100. 8 times 10 is 80, so the area is 180. The unit should be square feet, but again, I'll have your geometry teachers worry about that. Okay, last one. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just plugging in. And again, you don't have to copy this, but if one of these gives you an aha moment, then you should go ahead and copy that one in your notebook. Okay, so this one says the height of a football after it is punted is given by the equation h equals -2 squared plus 7t plus 5. So what are they even telling me? This is the height of the football? Okay, so this is the football height here. Okay, where t is the seconds. Okay, so let's see. What is the height of the football after 2 seconds? So they're telling me that t equals 2. So I'm going to plug it into this equation. I'm going to copy this equation so you can see it. You don't need to copy it. You just need to plug it in. And then it's just a matter of order of operations. What was my t value again? T is 2. So 2 squared plus 7 times 2 plus 5. Okay, order of operations says do the exponent first. So 2 to the second power is 2 times 2 is 4 plus 14 plus 5. Okay, and we learned to go left to right, but as long as you're respecting your signs, it actually doesn't matter. -8 plus 14 is 6 plus 5. So the height would be 11. Does it tell me units? It does not. So it would be 11. And when I say you don't have to go left to right, you have to respect the signs. That means this is a positive 14. If I did 14 plus 5, I would get 19. And then if I subtract the 8, I would still get 11. So just be careful when you add them, but as long as you're respecting the signs, you should be fine. Okay, and then the last question is asking, what about the height after 3 seconds? So I'm going to plug the 3 in. And I'm mostly making sure you're respecting your order of operations here. What is this? T equals 3, so 3, 3. Okay, and again, you have to do the exponent first. 3 to the second is 3 times 3, which is 9. Okay, and then for the last step, again, respect your signs, but the order actually doesn't matter. So -18 plus 21 is 3, 3 plus 5 is 8. So the height is 8 somethings, it doesn't tell me. But again, if I did, say I did 21 plus 5, I would get 26. If I subtract 18, I still get 8. So just be careful, and then you'll be fine.